Okay, hashtag well, hashtag now. I'm going to ask you a question. Now, I did a review on the digital circus. Now, I'm going to ask you an important question is, it's not made for kids. But here's the question I have to ask you. Should it be made for kids? Should kids watch it? That's more specifically what I'm trying to get at across here. Now, before I get into more details about this, I want to make an interesting point. Back in the days, fairy tales, when you think about it, I mean, talking about the original fairy tales. I'm not talking about the Disney versions now. I'm talking about the original version of these stories that we used to learn as kids. Little Red Riding Hood, Cinderella, all that stuff. If they were rated today, they probably would be NC-17, rated R, PG-13. Now, heck, the more you think about it, you watch the original, not the original one, but in 1938, Snow White, that was pretty adult right there. I mean, you saw seven dwarves, murder a witch. Or a witch literally put her fate worse than death when she put Snow White into a coma. So even that might be labeled as adult. But keep in mind, the original Grimm fairy tales, the fairy tales like it, were told to kids for a certain reason. It was to teach kids about the horrors of life. Now, granted, I give the benefit of the doubt. You don't want kids to be afraid of life, but at the same time, they don't want kids to be blindsided by life. I mean, something like Little Red Riding Hood, for example, that is pretty dark. If you read the original version, and we're talking about Silence of a Lamb type dark. So, anyhow, getting to the point. Little Red Riding Hood was a cautionary tale. Which, when you think about it, that does apply to today. The idea of don't talk to strangers. I mean, we live in the days of the internet where it's easy to give out too much information. Here, teach the kids not to. So even to like today's standards with computers, that lesson is still important today. Now, anyway, getting to the point. Let's get to talk about the digital circuit. Okay, so is the digital circus something kids should read today? And yeah, maybe with adults. Maybe with adults watching, yeah. Because honestly, with the characters they're going through, they're pretty young characters. We're talking about characters like, for example, Taga with the giggle. Sorry, I'm not good with math. The mask ribbon character. She lives a life where she wanted to be one thing, but she ended up doing something practical. And obviously, she's not very happy about it. I mean, you saw that one episode where she was a manager of a food restaurant, a fast food chain, and right there you can tell she's not happy about it. Where she's like, "Hey, I know what you're thinking. You don't want to work at fast food. I want to be an artist, book artist." And there's a whole rant about, well, that's our terrible dreams. You should do something practical. That's not exact words. We get the idea. You got someone like the one character who's puzzle pieces, who doesn't know how to feel comfortable in her own skin, wants to know find parts that make her work, but later feels satisfied, like, well, maybe I don't. Maybe it's okay that I have different parts. Maybe it's okay not to be one person all the time. That person found peace. We got other people who, something like Jax, which, yeah, I don't condone what he does. But again, he can't handle a life where he has nobody to go back to. You saw that in one episode where he has a panic attack and presses, I need to stay, even though he doesn't want to be there. You have the people pleaser, like you want to please everybody. You have, well, someone like, again, I see Kingler, someone who still there but not there. I don't know. Did he recommend all? He represent all time. Like he has Alzheimer's, or I can't tell. But he still has a keen mind, but only when he's able to. In this case, he was able to when he's in the dark. So yeah, I think it's not meant for kids because it does get into little dark areas. But the question I have to ask: should kids watch it? That's actually a good question because I think a lot of kids. It's hard to know. There's a TV show for College Humor. It only lasted one season. I'm not gonna say what it is. I'm not gonna. Well, I'm gonna say what it is, but I'm not gonna say what the letters mean. WTF 101. It's like this magic school bus, but again, as they ask the question, there's certain things. When are kids ready to learn certain things? Is based on the magic school bus because again, as they point out, there's certain lessons that kids are not ready to learn. So when is it appropriate to teach kids stuff like this? Because it is pretty difficult. I mean, obviously, this is not made for little kids. It's not made for kids who watch My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Because again, that's a show that adults could get into. But obviously, you're not going to have harsh languages. You're not going to have one of them asking the question, hey, Sunset, sorry, not Sun. Hey, Princess Celestia, when I have the ability to have sex. Obviously, you're not going to have lines like that. So that's, yes. Obviously, something like the Amazing Digital Circus would be more for adults because it does have adult language and it has stuff in there that adults would understand. Yet, not that adult. Like I said, the experience of depression, the experience that no matter how good at you one thing, you have to spend your life, make a living, do something you don't like, have an idea of abandonment issues. So again, it goes back to this one very important question. Yes, we know the Amazing Digital Circus isn't for kids, and yet, should kids watch it? At any rate, I want your thoughts on that subject. Do you think the original fairy tales got it right and we should keep it that way? Should we find a happy middle? No, we should keep it Disney safe and make everything colorful. So, yes, that's definitely an interesting question I want to ask you, the viewers. At any rate, I want to thank the 87 subscribers that stuck around. Let's make me the first trillionaire YouTuber. And as always, hope your day sucks a little less. And I'll see you in the next video.